Alright, this is a review of The Walking Dead episode 4, Vatos. Basically, this episode takes place where the last episode took, or where the last episode ended. Basically, Rick and the rest of the gang who came with Rick, they are looking for Merle. They get to the top of the building and come to find out Merle is actually still alive. He just sawed his hand off. So they're looking for him. There's evidence that he got away because the blood trail. He left the blood trail from where he sawed his hand off, and they get concerned because he might be bleeding out from sawing his hand off, and he might have gotten eaten by some walkers. So they follow the blood trail, and it leads them into the inside of the building, and come to find out that Merle is indeed alive, as far as we know, and he's gotten away. He's gotten out of the city because, inside the building we see a couple of dead walkers that he was able to kill. We get to see that the guy is a survivor. Despite him being the type of person he is indeed a survivor. So, since they can't find Merle, they come up with another plan, which is to get inside the city, to get inside the heart of the city to get the ammo, which is still in the middle of the ground where Rick left it at. So Glenn comes up with a plan, a really good plan to get the ammo, and they asked him, kid, what did you do before all this happened? And Glenn is just like, well, I used to be a pizza delivery guy. So they split up into two groups. Glenn goes with Merle's brother, and Rick and the black guy go together. They run into some trouble. Glenn and Merle's brother, they run into some trouble with some Latinos who capture Glenn, and they demand that if they want Glenn back, they're going to have to give over the ammo. They want ammo. So the Latino gang goes back to their hideout, and Rick meets up with Merle's brother, and they decide, let's go get Glenn back. So they come back. They go to the location, and they also capture one of the Latinos' kids. So basically, they want an even trade. You give us back Glenn, we'll give you back your guy. So they don't agree with that. They say, you know what, we want ammo. We want your ammo, and that's pretty much it. And they say, if you don't give us the ammo, we're gonna just go ahead and take it by force. So they come up with another plan, which is basically to shoot it out. They come back and they say, you know what, we're not giving these weapons away. They're staying with us. It's just give us Glenn back. And basically, some very strange occurrences happens. It turns out that the Latinos are not actually gang members, but they're putting on the front so that they can protect the elderly inside the building. Because basically, they were putting on that front so that they wouldn't be taken advantage of and things like that. So they're not actually gang members. They were just basically putting on that front to protect the elderly and trying to get them out of the city as soon as possible. But it seems impossible because, not because of the ammo, but because the elderly are really old, they're sickly, they're dying, and there's no way to get them out of the city. So eventually, they talk it out, and they come to a conclusion, and they give Glenn back, and stuff like that. And they go back to the camp. At the camp, there's been a little bit of disturbance going on. One of the camp members was digging a hole because he was missing his family for the most part. And during that time, the show does what I was hoping it was going to do. It takes me by surprise. Towards the end of the episode, some very, very sad things happen. Rick and his gang, they get back to they're finding that their van was stolen, so they have to walk back to the camp. So they're on their way back. As they are on their way back, the walkers if you remember from the last episode, there was one walker who got into the camp, but it turns out that more have come up to the camp. They come up and they smell the human flesh and they want to eat it. And the first guy to go is the wife beater. He's gone. Then some really sad stuff starts happening. Some other characters are killed off. Rick and his gang, they get there in time to help, and they start shooting the zombies down. They start shooting the walkers down. And basically, this episode ends on a very sad note. And I was hoping that they would do that, because for a while there, you kind of forget that the show is a zombie show, and you kind of forget that it's the end of the world, because you're focused on the characters in the show. But reality starts to hit back, and the zombies are in fact they're still a threat, and they can come out of nowhere. And now everybody is aware of that. We lost some very good characters, and just a really, really sad ending. I'm not going to spoil too much any more than I already have spoiled. But yes, this show is really good. It's doing what I'm hoping that it was going to do. Now, like I said, it is venturing away from the comics a little bit, which is fine, because what's the point of doing a TV show that's going to be pinpoint exactly like the comic? If you don't like it, just go back and read the comics, because this is basically a different way of telling the story, different characters and stuff like that are not in the comic series, which I don't have a problem with. So there's only 2 episodes left. The next one is going to be Wildfire, and then episode 6 is TS-19, which is November 28th, and then the last one airs is December 5th. So it's already been renewed for a second season. The show is already going strong. It's already got a good fan following so far. The critics love it. It's doing really good. So if you haven't been watching The Walking Dead, I highly urge you to watch it now. And if you're interested in comic books, pick up the comic book series. It's still going. It hasn't ended yet, but you can still read it and see the differences between the comics and where the TV show is headed. So that's my review of The Walking Dead episode 4, Vatos. Very good episode.